Like every Monday night, you're checking out Breakfast Soup Raw.
Bon appetit, as Don, Tony, and Mish dish out their opinions about the world of pro wrestling, sports, news, and pop culture.
Breakfast Soup Raw.
Breakfast Soup Raw.
And now, your host, Mish and Don Tony.
What's up, everybody? Monday night, February 22nd, 2021, and the MIZ is still your WWE champion. Welcome to this edition of Breakfast Soup Raw. I am Don Tony, and he is
Anthony Missionary Thomas. How's it going, DT?
Not bad, not bad. Can we appease everybody's minds why Drew McIntyre was not on Raw tonight? There was no title on the line tonight. Drew McIntyre will get involved next week when Lashley takes on Miz. Some people may not like that because Drew McIntyre may cause Lashley to lose and may extend Miz's title run. How long do you think Miz's title run is going to go?
Hopefully till after Fastlane, but I'm not even sure. I'm not sure what they're going to do with that title. I can see it already hot potatoing around over the next few weeks, which I kind of hope they don't do that, but you know, that all leads into the road to WrestleMania. I mean, we have to make our predictions eventually, or even our own guesses as to where these matches are going to head up. But it seems like that belt is on the line for a few people. So unless they get rid of a couple of these people, you might even expect that WrestleMania might have a more than a one-on-one match for the title. So
I talked about it last night. I think it comes down to Drew versus Lashley, or Drew versus Lashley versus Brock. I think Bad Bunny, as you know, look, I know there's a lot of noise out on social media. I know there's a lot of YouTube shows, a lot of other podcasts that are, you know, complaining about Bad Bunny. And we made the comment 2 weeks ago. We're fine with it. We're fine with it. The 24/7 title being used as an advertising ploy. But not only that, whether you like the music or you don't, and I don't, the guy is a lifelong wrestling fan. He's training. He's at the Performance Center. He's taking bumps. You know, he likes what he's doing. I mean, we've had celebrities involved in wrestling for decades and decades and decades. You know, sometimes you could have some celebrities that you may not like. But I give this guy credit for, you know, showing up and, you know, doing what he's got to do. Of course, WWE is going to treat him, you know, with pillows and everything. I don't expect it any other way. But I still think that Bad Bunny and Damian Priest will end up costing Miz the championship. And I think WrestleMania will still be Miz and Morrison versus Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. I don't want to see Miz versus Bunny one-on-one with Priest and Morrison in each other's corners. I don't know if I want to see that, and that is still a possibility. You know, I don't know how people would feel to see Bad Bunny pinning a former WWE champion. But I still think Lashley Drew or Lashley Drew Lesnar. I mean, just think about it. Just picture it on the billboard. Lashley Drew Lesnar. Clash of the Titans. Monsters. Yeah. I think Braun Strowman. I think he's destined to face Shane McMahon. What do you think?
I mean, I can see that down the road. They're obviously sowing the seeds of contention already by having Shane come out there and pretty much tell Braun that he sucks after Braun was out there having his privilege thrown around. But real quick on the Bad Bunny situation with Damian Priest, I'm not really sure if I'm seeing that. I can definitely see the idea of a tag match between Damian Priest and Bad Bunny versus Miz Morrison, but I have a feeling it might be the gag match of WrestleMania, and you might see something wacky with R-Truth and Bad Bunny, because they kind of started sowing a little bit of that tonight. If Bad Bunny carries that title to WrestleMania, I would rather see him in a singles match for the 24/7 title, because let's be honest, the 24/7 title is not a clout belt. It's not a belt that represents heritage of wrestling. It doesn't have a history other than having some goofy moments. So if that's the case, why are people taking it so seriously?
Exactly.
Enjoy the fact you have celebrities walking around with the belt. Enjoy the moment. Take it for what it is. And then just be done with it. Be glad that they're not trying to shove celebrities into actual matches for actual titles. The 24/7 title is a throwaway title. Arguing against that is just kind of moot and silly at this point. But like I said, I really think that R-Truth and Bad Bunny, I can see some friction there. Obviously, R-Truth wants his belt back. They're going to do something with that.
Yeah.
They have to do something with that. They can't just ignore R-Truth.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think as they get closer to WrestleMania, I don't think Bad Bunny will be the 24/7 champion going into WrestleMania. I think we'll see something else happen as a result. Like you said, we'll have something with R-Truth, with some comedy somewhere. It is what it is. But but getting back to tonight, and by the way, for everyone out there, if you haven't checked it out yet, last night did a 2-hour recap of Elimination Chamber. It wasn't just a recap of Elimination Chamber, but got into what the ramifications would look like tonight and beyond. So tonight's show is going to be primarily just a Raw recap. But I do want to post this very quickly for those that may not be aware of it. And this goes out to our friends in Canada. Sportsnet and WWE have come to an agreement, and as of this Wednesday, NXT will air live on Sportsnet 360 and SN Now. So I know a lot of my Canadian friends out there were really happy to see this news. So yeah, we'll start seeing the Wednesday night ratings wars Canada style. But I figured, you'd probably be interested in checking that out Wednesday night. So, and you know what? We'll see how that affects AEW's ratings in Canada, because up until now, AEW, pretty much, if you want to call it unopposed, now we see the ratings probably split between the two. But figured I'd show that to our Canadian friends out there.
Yeah, no, it's good news. I mean, the one thing that WWE capitalizes on better than anybody else that's been around for years and years and years, is the fact that they can constantly make money no matter what. The idea of expansion is something that WWE is a flag holder for, and them expanding more territory into Canada and giving Canada more options to watch WWE, it's only going to help them in the long run. So good for them.
Yeah, just in time for WrestleMania season 2. I mean, NXT obviously won't have as big of a footprint that weekend, but still, nonetheless, nice little move. Now,
it all matters. Every single expansion, every single chess piece matters on the board. You know what I mean, DT?
Yeah. Tonight, we didn't get it once. We got it twice. Build up to Rhea Ripley's Raw roster debut. Not happening just yet. I think tonight the seeds started to be planted of Charlotte versus Asuka in some capacity for Mania. That could be the reason why they're not debuting Rhea Ripley as of yet. I tell you, I mean, we've talked about Charlotte quite a bit in the past. And I know it's become an in thing to do for some people online to rip the crap out of her. Nobody does it better, in my opinion. I've always said, whenever we talk about women in the last 10, 15 years, I always put Charlotte number 1 and Asuka just under her at number 2, only because Asuka really can't cut promos. And, I'm entertained by Asuka on the mic, but there's only so many times you could hear, so Charlotte, and she cut that promo today, and we've talked about it, from Heath Slater's promo to Eddie Kingston to others. When you incorporate real life and reality, that's usually some of your best promos, because you can go to a place in your heart and in your soul that you really can't when everything that you're saying is an act. And Charlotte you could see legitimate tears. And I tell you, man, Ric Flair, I know some of you out there don't understand the aging process, with all due respect. Ric Flair has had tremendous health issues on life support, so to speak, on more than one occasion. He's older, he's frail, his body is breaking down, and that's what happens. The face changes a little bit, the mouth sounds more of like a lisp. I've had relatives, come and go that got into their 70s, 80s, and even 90s in some cases. He's not going to sound like the Ric Flair from 2003. So I truthfully believe if that was my father, whether I'm a wrestler or just an everyday person at home, I'm looking in the eyes of my dad, and you know the deal. I don't want to get into the big scenario with it, but you all know. My father had serious heart surgery 2 weeks ago that, it's just came out of nowhere, was totally unexpected, and seeing my father so frail coming out of the hospital, it tore me up. But, the thing is with Charlotte is she's looking into her father. Look at Charlotte's debut in the WWE main roster when she first started incorporating Ric Flair in storylines. Look at Ric Flair from even 5 years ago to now. It's like night and day. And I think when she looks into her dad's eyes and she sees that he's mortal, we all are going to be mortal sooner or later. I think that really does tear at her strings to see her father not be able to be affluent as usual, to see the aging in your face, and that's got to get to you no matter what. And it helped her promo tonight. I thought it was awesome. She nailed it. Every word. You could have believed that in real life.
Charlotte's always been good at cutting promos, and cutting promos from the heart is something that she's done well. You can read their book. You can just see the way that she's treated her father over the years. It's not like it's a fake relationship. You can go to those places of emotion because he's your old man. So the fact that Charlotte was able to pull out a great promo with Rick is not surprising to me. And in fact, it was a nice highlight of the night. Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you, you think Ric Flair goes home?
I don't know. I mean, Ric Flair, WrestleMania is around the corner and stuff like that too. I think he'll be back for the big show, not Paul. I mean the actual WrestleMania. I don't think he has much to do now that Lacey's no longer a part of the program.
I'm glad that it seems like that storyline is done, because
I don't know. I thought it was fun. I'm
saying for the pregnancy's sake. For pregnancy's sake.
Yeah, the fact that Lacey is now pregnant, great, But overall, that was a funny storyline.
It was.
Rick trying to tap a woman that's like 40 years his junior, you know what I mean, in order to piss off his daughter. Like, I don't know. I thought that shit was funny, just thinking that Lacey was riding Space Mountain one more time. I don't know. Yeah. It was a funny act. In a world where WWE is constantly trying to change the narrative sometimes to make humorous angles and shit like that, it was one of those few angles that was pretty fucking funny. So yeah. It's sad to see it go, but on the same side, Lacey's off, to go fulfill motherhood. And then at the same time, hopefully she comes back too. We're not really sure. There's no estimate on that. Yeah. And with Rick, there's nothing wrong with him going home. He'll be back for WrestleMania. We'll get to see him again. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in Charlotte's corner for a couple matches down the road too. It's just natural progression, and people will enjoy seeing it. And it makes sense to have Rick in Charlotte's corner. Yeah.
But they did plant that seed tonight. I don't know why they had to take on Nia and Shayna, so to speak, and it being non-title again. But Charlotte inadvertently kicks Asuka, nails her. And Asuka, selling it like, what did you do to me? I mean, there's been faux pas before, but but that's the seed planted. So that's where it sees where it's going to go. So I guess let's talk a little bit about Raw tonight from beginning to end. Couple of interesting things came out of it. I think the one thing that I liked more than anything was the scenario that you and I painted a couple of weeks ago, that Mustafa Ali was going to get so frustrated at Retribution that he was going to start getting physical on them, and then it's going to build to Retribution surrounding him around the ring. I think that's going to happen. I think Ali is going, his days are numbered in Retribution. I think this storyline may peak at Mania. The big question is, do you think that they would do an implosion angle where the entire Retribution faces each other at Mania? Because I could see that. I could see T-Bar and Mace going at it. I could see Mustafa Ali and Slapjack going at it. Mia Yim.
That would be the worst.
I don't know what they do with her.
Nobody has any investment on either side. If you start splitting up Retribution and putting, one versus the other, nobody's going to have any investment in that match at all. I think in this scenario, you have Retribution just completely oust Ali, and then they find a new direction for Retribution, or Retribution just breaks up, and then they become individual characters. And maybe you can even go down storylines where they start taking off the mask and start explaining how they feel about it. But yeah, having Retribution black and white versus Retribution black and red, I'm set. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, I guess we could knock that first match out of the way. I mean, we don't do all the matches in order, obviously. I know a lot of other shows do that. We segue from one conversation to another, but New Day tonight beat Slapjack and Mace and T-Bar, and match went awfully quick. New Day playing up to that they don't work by the hour, which is it was a fun match while it lasted. But the only thing I didn't like about Mustafa Ali's promo is if you're in storyline, if you're that pissed off at your team, the minute you grab that microphone, you just start flipping out and just start going into a tantrum. He had that microphone, and you see New Day walking up the rampway, and it was almost like, okay, here's your cue. Right. And then he starts getting into it. There was a delay with that, and stickler to detail, he should have just flipped out almost immediately. So
I agree with that. But I mean, that's just one of those production things. He was just waiting for his cue. Somebody hit the audio button of people booing something.
Riddle winning the United States Championship last night. Like I said, we don't need to do a recap. We've all done recaps, but Keith Lee, there was rumored injury from a week ago. It was really up until Showtime to see if he can go, and that wasn't the case. I think the problem is because WWE is a non-stop, there is no off-season. There's an old saying, if you snooze, you lose. And even though it's unfortunate that's an injury, but I'll use the NFL as a good example. You get a quarterback that gets injured, and, a secondary quarterback starts and is kicking ass as a starter. That original starting quarterback may have a hard time getting their job back because the secondary quarterback is doing so. You have to be an elite quarterback to be able to just get right back into it. So Keith Lee, I wouldn't have been surprised if we found out that he was supposed to win the championship yesterday, but because he couldn't compete, and because they needed Lashley to get into this main event picture, that they had to give it to Riddle. So it wouldn't surprise me if Riddle was not the original idea. I mean, Riddle has grown on me. And even yet last night after he won, he was celebrating by eating corn dogs, which was pretty funny. He seems like the guy you would probably have the most fun with, having a beer on a beach or something like that. You know what I mean? I know they're doing the airhead dopey stuff. What did he name the eagle on the belt? He named it Travis or something like that. Yeah. He named it Travis.
Yeah.
But tonight, he takes on Morrison. Very good match, but
Yeah.
Morrison
as far
loses.
as the ring goes, the guy is a competent wrestler in the ring. It's just he's got the absolute dumbest character I've seen in years. It's almost like, does this guy forget to breathe? That's the level of Cro-Magnon you're dealing with when you're dealing with Riddle. It's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of his character. I understand that the guy wrestles fine. He does wrestle fine. There's nothing wrong with him. Him and J-Mo tonight had a fantastic match. Absolutely.
I was waiting for them to call him that because of John Morrison, J-Mo, but
they usually just call him Joe-Mo.
yes.
I thought it was kind of funny. I think that was a nod to our I don't know. I don't even want to say it's a nod to
It could be.
Whatever.
Yeah, because Soup, you've been saying forever, J-Mo.
No. No, it's his. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But that was a decent match. See, that's the thing that pisses me off about their use of Morrison. Morrison, I don't think he's in Jeff Hardy territory. And what I mean by that is you could see clearly that they have moved on with Jeff Hardy to basically be the person who could still have a decent match, but they have no plans, to put him in any type of title situation anytime soon, any big push anytime soon. He will get a win here and there from like an Elias or somebody just to make it still feel like he's relevant. But he fills up a spot in the chamber. He fills up a spot on Raw. And in the end, Jeff Hardy, look, he's had an illustrious career. He is getting on the twilight of his career. Morrison is not in that position yet. Morrison still has many years still to get to that position. And it feels like, Morrison is just one drop under Jeff Hardy. And I don't mean by Hall of Fame status. I mean by treatment of WWE. They give him these great matches and they let him do what he does. But in the end, he always, for the most part, loses.
Yeah, but at the same time, he fills a very important role, and it's not being John Morrison. The most important role that he fulfills is being the sounding board for Miz. Miz has better promos. Miz has better charisma. Miz responds better to the crowd and the audience at home when he has a sounding board to sound off on. We've talked about this before, whether it's Maurice, whether it was Damian Sandow, whether it's John Morrison. Miz is a guy who at least needs somebody so that he can go forward and give off a better promo. So while it's nice to sit there and think that John Morrison has a steady job as a tag team guy, and he's not really looked at as like the singles expert or a future champion on the main event scene, the important thing that he does is he helps Miz become more believable to the people that want him or hate him as champion.
Yeah. Benjamin, I don't think Jeff's current status has anything to do with Matt Hardy and AEW. I think it's just that WWE would have preferred to have them still be a part of a tag team, Matt and Jeff be a tag team. Not all the time, because look, they did have them wrestle singles. I just think Jeff Hardy is one of those veteran names that puts over other people, but also puts on a good match in the process. Some people, when they get way towards the tail end of their career, they lose in 30 seconds. They lose in 2 minutes. Jeff Hardy could still put on a 7, 8, 9-minute match and be real competitive, but in the end, the outcome seems to be the same.
But Jeff has never had promo skills, DT.
Right.
Jeff has never been able to cut a killer promo. Like that's his biggest weakness. As far as the highlight reel, as far as many of the matches that they remember him in, whether he's tagging with Matt or not, Jeff's biggest detriment is that they can never get him over because he can't talk on the microphone.
Yeah.
Jomo, I think, is a good comparison. I don't think it's that Jomo can't talk. I think that Jomo's manner of speaking doesn't really come off well on TV. I don't think that he's the kind of character that can build that way. Do you remember when they first brought in John Morrison and they were having, or not when they first brought him in, but when they first brought him in with the Miz, and he was literally doing the Jim Morrison skits. Like it was like black and white, and then it would fade. You'd see his hair blowing in the wind and stuff like that. I think that was too over the head at the time, even for most people. They're just kind of like, Jim Morrison. You're talking about a guy from the 60s and 70s, like. But
did he call himself the Monday Night Delight?
Yeah, he called himself Monday Night Delight.
I think that's what
he
it
called
was.
himself the Lizard King too, didn't he?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So, you know what I mean? Like there was shades of that, and that's clearly, you know, creative at the time, digging into a weird well to compare John Morrison to Jim Morrison. But I just don't see him as being a guy that will ever get over with the crowd in that way. But as far as matches, as far as looks, I mean, Joey put it hilariously yesterday. He doesn't think that John Morrison has ever eaten a carb in his life.
Yeah.
Not one carb in his entire life. That guy is a human Adonis, if you look at him. He's got the washboard abs. The guy has the look of being a megastar. He has the ability in the ring to put anybody over, to have exciting matches. It's just, he fills a role that other people can't fill, and I think that that's the best part of him.
Yeah. Benjamin said he would call himself Tuesday Night Delight when he was in ECW. Mystery said he called himself Friday Night Delight in SmackDown. So
yeah.
Now, when you were talking about abs and great look, it could, you know, have a great match and put people over, you know, for a minute, and yes, I'm segueing, for a minute, I thought you were talking about Ricochet. What is it? What is it?
Yeah.
What is it? I mean, you know, like I see Ricochet retweeting people more and more that are posting his matches from Japan and other places. This guy is insane in the ring, and I say that with 100% compliments intended. Why is it? I mean, the Hurt Business wanted Ricochet badly. Retribution wanted Ricochet badly. And is that WWE? See, like what we were just saying about Jeff Hardy. Once in a while, he'll get a win. So WWE thinks he's still relevant as far as status goes. Is this the equivalent with Ricochet? Like, they won't give him a win, but instead we'll have people that want him. You know what I mean? Like, instead of giving him a win, oh, we'll just say that the Hurt Business wants him. You know, I don't get it. The guy, pardon the pun, is phenomenal. He had the match with AJ Styles tonight. AJ Styles, to me right now, AJ Styles is Teflon. Yes, he didn't win yesterday, but AJ Styles, when it comes to singles matches, especially on Raw, for the most part, this guy is Teflon. He does not lose. But I don't understand why it's so difficult. If it's this difficult, then why not just put Ricochet in NXT? And I'm being dead serious for a minute. You think of the matches that he could have with some of those guys in NXT. I think it would be phenomenal. I don't get why it's so difficult. They did that 24 on him on the network, and I watched it, and I was like, man, you know, you can't help but want to cheer this guy. Same feeling I get with Keith Lee. But it's like they do this 24, they get you behind him, and then on TV, you know, the appearance is that this guy can't cut a break. What is it with Ricochet?
Right.
Too purdy?
Bland. He's bland. He is as bland as they come. Ricochet is literally a creator wrestler before you put any kind of flavor on him. You know, we talked about this before, and without being insulting at all, what is Ricochet's gimmick? I'm asking
He's the
you,
one and only.
One
and only.
What does that mean? The one and only what? Generic guy?
Oh.
I'm the one and only generic person.
Yo,
There's
check it out. I just realized that, my apologies, everyone. I just realized the template says February 8th, 2021. So yeah, so I forgot to make a template for February 22nd. I was working all day long today, so I just want to throw that out there. Me, you know, me with details, little things really tick me off. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but my apologies. My apologies. But I'm not trying to be funny for a minute. I'm being serious. Do you think Ricochet would have done better if he was like, not necessarily a member of the Lucha House Party, but with a mask over his head?
Something. You know, if they put a mask on Ricochet, that would be something, DT. Ricochet has no character. None. There's somebody in the chat that said that he was trying to be a superhero. I would have never have guessed that. What shows that Ricochet was going to be a superhero? What is it that he does that's super in any way? Does he have a catchphrase? Does he have a cape? Does he have anything? Like, Ricochet is a very odd character because the guy is capable. He's not the absolute worst promo in the world. But he's like 5 across the board. On a list of 10s, he's 5s across the entire board. I don't understand it. He is human silly putty.
I'm trying to find the template without that. Now it's starting to piss me off. Look, now I changed it to February 15th.
Sergio said he figured it out, DT. Sergio figured it out. Ricochet's character, his gimmick, is that he can jump high.
Okay. I mean, I just don't get. If I had a promotion and I had a guy like that, if I had a partner, I would be slapping him in the chest like, get a look at this guy. Did you see what this guy does? Do you see it? Why aren't we pushing this guy to the moon? I mean, is it just one of those that they feel that he's better utilized with a push in front of fans, and because you got LED screens and the crowd reaction is based on what soundboard button they press, I just don't understand why it's this difficult to have him, go further. I'm shocked.
Okay.
That baffles me probably more than anybody else. I know some people out there.
Serious here. The reality is being completely serious here. He is a guy that's supposed to be out there being a highlight reel. He's supposed to be doing Kofi antics at the Royal Rumble. He's supposed to be bouncing off the top rope. That's what he's supposed to be doing. That's what he's supposed to be. I feel that his gimmick was he was supposed to be a highlight reel. Not an arrogant guy, not a film guy, but he was supposed to be a guy that you stop and go, oh, wow, that was pretty cool. Ricochet did that, right? Yeah. But he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And they don't highlight him doing that. And they don't have an audience to do that in front of. So you can't even gauge people's reactions. Look, we already know all the flaws and failures with Thunderdome, but Ricochet is in the wrong time. It's the wrong time for Ricochet.
Big shout out to Galvin, by the way. Got your email. Very, very nice email. Very kind of you to say what you said. All I want to say to you without revealing what you said is just keep strong, my friend. We all at some point really hit rock bottom, and, it doesn't last forever. And you just got to go through the motions, and you'll look back on it one day and you'll say to yourself, wow, I can't believe that, I hit rock bottom like that. But what knocks you down should make you stronger. So I just wanted to just share that. But by the way, I want to shout out everybody who's tuning in live tonight. Much love. As I always say, if you're enjoying the show, smash that like button. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. I'm a little pissed off that I can't find the goddamn graphic without the date on it. That's pissing me off, man. I usually am not careless like that. So please, everyone, just disregard that February 15th in the lower right-hand corner. So, and everybody shout out, especially those on YouTube, our friends on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, wherever else. More places to come soon. So, and we will shout out La Nostra Familia in a moment. But Omos, getting a little physical today, picks up Ricochet by the noggin, lifts him up, looked pretty impressive, and just dropped him. And I tell you, I'm not sure, I think I'm reading too far into this, but Omos, after he did it, had this look on his face like he enjoyed what he just did. And he kept looking back. I don't know if anybody knows, he kept looking back at AJ Styles like, he kept looking back. And I'm wondering if Omos one day Maybe won't happen till WrestleMania time, but maybe turns around and does the same thing for AJ Styles. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but I don't know. I kind of liked it. Omos, I think is going to start getting even more physical. The big question is, when does this guy actually have a match?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a match sooner than later.
Yeah.
But I'm not looking forward to Omos or Amos turning on AJ anytime soon. I like that pairing. I think they have a good chemistry. The fact that he's emoting more as a character now, I really don't want them to get rid of this. It's got some meat on the bone. There's definitely some time left between Omos and AJ
Yeah, they're great as a duo. And I got news for you. I think Omos is learning a hell of a lot. Not that he's picking up moves from AJ Styles, but even just reactions, mannerisms, timing. He bounces off of him, sees with the promos, the just animation. I'm digging it. But, they kept focusing on Omos, looking back at AJ Styles 3 or 4 times like, be interesting to see where they go with that. But, man, Omos picked up Ricochet like he was a child. Seriously.
And he is. He's what is he? 7'1"?
Yeah, he's
7'1", right?
Crazy, man.
And
I'd love to have height like that.
4'8".
Yeah. Yeah, so Fly, he's learning to work from a veteran. And like I said, I don't think he's going to be doing any phenomenal forearms or Styles clashes anytime soon. But, you learn. And look, I talked about it. Thursday was the first time that I posted footage of me doing stuff in indie wrestling. And that will be like an every other week thing from now on. I'm going through all the archives. I'm going to put it all out there. We could laugh at the horrible stuff. But the one thing that I always talked about is even as people like Sandman, that a lot of people have negative things to say about, my fondest memory of any locker room anywhere that I was in it was a promotion for Mr. Big. We were in Spanish Harlem. And we were in a gymnasium, and I'm going to get that footage. If I have to pay Mr. Big for it, I will pay him for it. I know he's got it. But before the show started, there was about 20 young guys that would never make it. I was there as well. Never make it. And Sandman was in the locker room, and everybody was picking his brain. And he, was just talking and talking and talking and giving advice, and everybody soaking it in and this and that. And that's probably one of the last people you would ever expect to be like that. But nobody was going to go out there swinging Singapore canes and chugging a beer after. But the thing is that just psychology and other things, people were just soaking in. Any little thing that you could get, you soaked it in. And that's one of the things, he's soaking in all that knowledge, even the emotional part of it. They're very lucky right now that they're only in Florida. Imagine if COVID wasn't here and they had to tour all around the world. That wanes on some people. That is one of the reasons why some people prefer not to go to WWE. They don't want that kind of training, that touring schedule, being away from home, for so long, and, putting tens of thousands of miles, flying in a career. So Omos is definitely learning from a legend. First ballot Hall of Famer, if you want to use that. D. Lee, the mastermind. What's up, man? What's up? Oh, you have to super chat this, my friend. This is kind of like non-super chat Mondays, but Doug MacKay he got his letter. He's getting his vaccine on Wednesday. Awesome, my friend. And I want to just add to that, without getting to a whole long thing. This past Thursday, I got my second COVID shot. With the exception of feeling like crap Thursday night and having a little bit of a fever Friday night, no side effects. Very, very little. People were telling me for a month, oh, the second shot is worse than the first. You're going to have all these crazy side effects, pain, fever, nauseousness. The first one was 10 times worse than the second shot. So in about a week, I will be fully immune. I could still get it, but, you know, hopefully it's just sniffles. So congrats, man. And for everyone out there, you know, stay safe. Whether you get the shot or you don't, whether you qualify or you don't qualify, stay safe. Because I know there's a lot of you out there that don't believe in the shot. And all I'm going to say is that I don't believe that every single person has to have the shot. But if you're around 10 people and 6 or 7 of them got the shot, and there's only 3 of you that don't have the shot, your chances of getting it now have diminished because there is a ton of people there that already had the shot. Somebody that may have already been infected, you know, they have antibodies. So the more that other people get vaccinated, it lowers the chances of you getting it. So let's just hope that they're now saying by July, we should be not back to normal, but by July, you're going to see restaurants at 75%, wrestling venues at 70%. And remember what I said very quickly, what I said to all of you about 2 months ago. Go back and look at Impact Wrestling, look at Ring of Honor, look at MLW, look at a lot of these venues when they had fans. Didn't happen all the time that it was sold out and people were waiting outside. A lot of these indie wrestling promotions that you all go to, they usually only fill half the building, 2/3 of the building. So even if a state says you could go back to 50% capacity, for a lot of indie promotions, that's a regular day at the office. So I'm telling you, no, you're right, Sam. This virus will be here for a couple of years. It ain't going away for a couple of years. But, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, no. I had feedback going on.
Oh, yeah. But it's going to be here for a couple of years. There'll always be that chance. But the point is that the chance will be so low, you know, you'll probably have to have some horrible bad luck, you know, to get it down the line. But just stay safe. You know, if anything out of this, we've learned to be a little bit more sanitary. Wash your hands a little bit more, you know, don't rub your eyes, you know, a lot of little things you pick up on that. So, but anyway, getting back to Raw tonight, we had Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. They defeated the Lucha House Party. It was a tornado tag team match. Only lasted 5 minutes. 5 minutes of fun, which kind of is like my sex life sometimes, but 5 minutes of fun, but it was just like tornado tag. Tear it up, man. I don't know why they gave him such. You know, I'll say this tonight.
What?
I'll say this. Riddle versus Morrison, New Day versus Retribution, Cedric and Shelton versus Lucha House Party, Damian Priest versus Angel Garza, Nia and Shayna versus Charlotte and Asuka, Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy, Naomi and Lana versus Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, AJ Styles versus Ricochet, Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley. They had 9 matches tonight.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, not complaining.
Recaps. WWE is notorious for showing us 1,000 things that happened early in the night. I think the only thing that they did that with was the Randy Orton, Alexa Bliss in a pentagram. Randy Orton.
I'm clapping like Alexa Bliss.
Oh, you know what?
He threw up her goo, Mish. Her black goo.
Yeah, apparently Alexa Bliss has black goo, everybody.
I think it's supposed to be black blood, but black goo. He threw it.
Yeah.
Papa Shango made its return, or is it Mama Shango? You know, I mean, because for any of you out there that are younger, if you don't know about the segments with the Ultimate Warrior and Papa Shango, go check it out.
Right.
What'd you think of that tonight with Randy Orton?
I mean, it was funny. I know it's not supposed to be. I know it's supposed to be horror show stuff. Alexa Bliss is an oddball character, but I will give her credit where credit is due. She's doing a good job of being a creepy white girl with a witch fetish, with voodoo and everything else like that. She looks like 90% of the girls that go on a Hot Topic, but I digress. She's doing good for her role. Randy Orton, though. Randy Orton had me rolling with him just going, Randy Orton is a fucking ham. I love the dude.
He looked like a cat or a dog. That's they go.
Is the most boring guy on the roster, and then there are times that Randy Orton is fucking hilarious. And tonight, he was fucking hilarious. I was dying.
Oh, you know what they got to do next week? They have to do a recap of Randy Orton doing a recap of last week, which led to him vomiting, spitting up Alexa's blood, Bliss's black blood.
Right.
That, I don't know, man. I laughed because look, it's already started. The memes already started that they're taking that 5-second clip and they're writing for everything. Every time I get out of the shower and look at the mirror.
Yeah.
Every time I see a Nia Jax match.
No.
Tomorrow night on Patreon. No, I'm only kidding. But no, it's turning into a meme already.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It really
voodoo. What do you think about the fact that they're saying now Alexa Bliss is doing this? Because I can't help but to think about that time. Oh my God, this is one thing I regret they don't have on YouTube. And by the way, I'm not kidding. I got emailed last week from YouTube that they want me to be part of this committee or whatever. I'm not kidding. And they're paying me to do it. They actually are paying. And today I had to answer a whole bunch of stuff, and they were asking me a lot of my background. I had to give a little resume of how long I've been doing this, why I moved to YouTube and this and that. But one of the things they said to me was, what's something that you would like to have on your shows? And I said the capability of posting a picture in the chat room. And this would be a perfect example. Remember when Bray Wyatt was going to have a match with the Demon, Finn Balor, the Demon. Okay. And remember when Finn Balor was going to be Sister Abigail, and they actually had that graphic, or he cut a promo, and he looked like, I don't know what he looked like. He looked like and I'm not against transvestites. He looked like a transvestite that was standing in the corner or standing in a bar, acting like their 72-year-old husband just died and looking to get picked up. You saw Finn Balor, the Demon, and you see Bray Wyatt, who's supposed to be Sister Abigail. And now I'm thinking to myself, are they kind of intertwining this? Because they're focused on Alexa Bliss trolling Randy Orton with the mind games. But in the end, this has got to be The Fiend doing it.
Okay. If you want to get into the serious nature of this storyline, they've alluded to Alexa Bliss being inhabited by The Fiend before. When she was in the female, the Royal Rumble match or whatever, or the Battle Royal match, they've had it before in other regards with her and Randy Orton. The Fiend is a character that isn't Bray Wyatt and that isn't Alexa Bliss. It is a third-party character. Bray Wyatt ultimately either created the Fiend or allowed the Fiend to adopt him, and changes from being Bray Wyatt, the goofy puppet guy, to being the Fiend, a serial killer / psychopath. It was initially believed that Bray Wyatt had multiple personalities, and he had one personality that was friendly-ish and, seemed like it was normal enough, if not a little bit aloof. But then he also had this dark side. So it was a matter of, how do we talk about it? The id, the ego, and the superego. So
like a spirit.
Bray Wyatt is the ego. And
it's a spirit.
No, it's the levels of psychology is what they thought it was. But yeah, now that you're talking about it entering into Alexa Bliss, it's gone past that. And now it's, yeah, I guess a spirit or some kind of voodoo or witchcraft. If you go back to his storyline, though, with Randy Orton, back when Randy Orton destroyed Bray Wyatt's second home, his trailer home or whatever, it's probably Sister Abigail still. So the Fiend essentially could be Sister Abigail because Bray Wyatt, back when he had the Wyatt family, would talk to Sister Abigail. Sister Abigail was an entity that Bray Wyatt spoke to. Now, if the Fiend is an entity as well, chances are Sister Abigail and the Fiend might be the same thing.
Thank you, SoFly, for the time. Yeah, we'll obviously be a little over than an hour, but we'll be right around an hour. Don't worry.
Right.
Look, we don't turn into a pumpkin, but the goal is no 2-hour show tonight. Definitely focus on
Sorry,
it's all good. No. Here's what I want to ask you. What is the horror film? And there's been many examples of it in the past. You'll come up with some good ones, chat room as well. What is an example of a horror film where somebody sees someone, but then that person transforms into something totally different? Like a guy will think, because look, most horror films, it's always heterosexual stuff, but like a guy thinks that he's seeing this tremendously hot woman. Oh, here, The Shining. Remember The Shining that he thought, remember Jack Nicholson, he thought he was seeing this hot topless chick. He was hallucinating in the hotel room 237, I think it was. And then all of a sudden it revealed it was like a 90-year-old woman and her tits were Mae Young flabbing. And
a zombie or something.
Yeah. What I think is going to happen is we're going to get one of the last times we're going to see the cut and paste of WWE. We're probably going to see a segment where Alexa Bliss is in the ring with Randy Orton, and then they're going to do that, cut and paste. It's not going to be live, and they're going to use maybe some camera special effects, and Alexa Bliss is going to transform into actually Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. Like, they will use it just like a movie. You'll see it transform into the Fiend. I think that's what we'll see. We'll see some computer. Look, we all thought that they were going to use all the special effects for Rey Mysterio with the eye.
Oh,
and they didn't do nothing. They didn't do nothing.
Yeah,
he's just laying there. He's like,
that's the imagination.
He's like, just pretend it's red. He's like,
yeah,
it fell. Oh, that was bad. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I kind of like the segment tonight. I mean, the Papa Shango stuff brought me back some memories with the Ultimate Warrior. Yeah,
it was funny. It was good.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm not supposed to laugh at it. I'm supposed to be like, oh, it's so spooky. But overall, Randy Orton is fucking hilarious sometimes. And this is one of those angles. Him going in there and knocking everybody out, Ric Flair and everybody else in that one room was hilarious. Like, Randy Orton has moments where he's just on fire. And tonight was him selling. I don't know if he was doing it for him or if he was doing it for the angle or if he was doing it for the boys in back, but he hammed it the fuck up, and it looked good on TV. He did a good job.
What do you think that is? You think that's like Hershey chocolate syrup?
Oh, it's just probably food dye and Jell-O, dude. That's all I thought
it looked a little thick.
Yeah.
Looked a little thick.
Food dye and Jell-O, maybe a little syrup in there or something.
Yeah. By the way, totally unrelated to today, but I had to share it with everybody out there just to show you another example why, number one, I stay off social media as much as possible, and number two, why I don't get along good with others. Remember Bruce Mitchell? The guy, and I say that nicely, that demanded to know the reason why Brody Lee died? Mm-hmm. Check out this genius of a tweet that he posted last night when Lashley attacked Drew and Miz cashed in.
Yeah, I saw that.
Everyone, soak it in. This is And look, I'm not trying to get racial. I could see if Bruce was black and felt that way towards WWE. Mistreatment. Okay. This guy is whiter than this. He's whiter than this. And this guy's writing that. And I'm saying to myself, who are you trying to get likes from? Like, God, you're a fucking moron. I'm sorry. I got to say it. You are a fucking moron. Seriously. Seriously. My worst shit doesn't look as bad as him. Fucking bucktooth beaver. Fucking asshole. Fucking hate you, man. A lot of people I hate. Bruce Mitchell is one of them. Nothing personal. I mean, just his journalistic tactics. It's nothing personal. I don't know the guy personally. He could be a really cool guy. I mean, and honestly, if I saw him in person, it'd be like, Mish, come on. When Mish and I went to the big event, wrestling convention, right when COVID first started. You remember how tight those lines were going to get sodas and people going to, if you want to talk about a super spreader event, that event, we should have all got COVID. We should have died, come back to life, Bray Wyatt style, and died again. That's how crazy this was. But the funniest part about it is a lot of you know that I don't get along with Mike Johnson. It's not really personal, but it's 20 years of bullshit. And Mish and I were walking to the other side. I don't know if we were going by Scott Hall's table or something. And here comes Mike Johnson walking the other way. And I said to Mish, I said, that's Mike Johnson. And we were looking at him, and he did one of these. He couldn't look at me in the fucking face. So, anyway, so getting back to the show. So Cedric and Shelton, they look, I like that Shelton and Cedric were kind of more on their page tonight. They were teasing that split so bad. Now it seems like that's kind of gone on the back burner.
Can I say a little something about the Bruce Mitchell thing? Because I didn't say anything on Soup. And I'm probably not going to say anything on Frank and Gus. But
okay.
The one thing that I got from a read on that, more than anything, take away the racial thing. I thought it was kind of shitty of him to believe that Miz doesn't deserve what he gets, that the Miz doesn't work hard enough. Look, regardless of how the match turns out, regardless of who you like, it was just, more than anything, it was just a shitty thing to say about the Miz. Like, the Miz isn't the ultimate company guy right now. Like, he doesn't have his other show that he's coming out. Actually, the second half of the second season is coming out on the
Miz
15th?
and Mrs., yeah.
March 15th, right? March 13th or 15th or something like that. Yeah. So his second season is coming out, or the second half of the second season is coming out. The guy is at all these events. The guy breaks his neck for WWE. And just to even imply that the guy doesn't deserve to get paid for it, that's just kind of scuzzy on Bruce's part. I'm sorry. I don't know what his follow-up was. I don't know if he tried to clarify himself later.
How do you clarify something like that?
What the fuck why does Miz deserve that? Why does Miz deserve that?
He even hashtagged Black History Month.
Yeah, I know, man. I get it. I get it. He's got,
you know what, Mitchell, seriously,
the company is unfair, and that's fine that he feels that way. But why are you going to throw Miz under the bus?
Yeah, it should be at Mitchell White, not right.
There are other ways that he could have said this and made this point without pointing fingers at people individually. Miz never did shit to Bruce. So I don't know. I don't get it.
I would never, and I said this a couple of years ago, and then when I say it now, a lot of you will remember it. And I was a little nervous after I said it because I wondered if people were going to take it on the surface or think about it. And I said, the one thing that, that I loved about Kofi's win was that they didn't give him the title because he was black. They gave him the title because he was the right place in the right time, and the fans got behind him, and everything. We all were behind it. And it was a wonderful thing. And yes, it brought awareness of the lack of black heavyweight champions in WWE, no question. I don't think WWE and creative, were like, hey, he's black.
Right.
So I don't think that anybody should be given a spot or a title or something simply because of what country they came from or what color their skin is or what. You get it because you earn it.
Right.
You know? So
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hold you up. It was
no,
just
that's all good. That's all good. I'm glad we talked about it. So, Damian Priest beating Angel Garza. This match went a lot longer than I thought it would. And I guess this was designed to have Angel Garza kind of taunt Bad Bunny a little bit. You know, I mean, because you gotta remember too, Bad Bunny, his reactions back to these guys is a learning experience also. I don't think Bad Bunny really was supposed to walk up the steps to tease like he was going to get in the ring. I think Angel Garza was being the typical heel, spreading the ropes. Hey, come on in.
Right.
So, you know, even when Angel Garza threw the shirt at Bad Bunny, you know, you have to, and look, I went to wrestling school, you know, for a little while. And some of the things, you know, you're tested on the spot. They don't tell you beforehand, hey, I'm going to throw this at you, or hey, I'm going to do this at you, I'm going to do this. They want to see what your instantaneous reaction is. But the match was a lot more competitive than I thought it would. And Damian Priest, right man that won tonight. The only thing I didn't like about it was after the match was over, you see a couple of wrestlers come out. I think it was Humberto Carrillo, Tozawa, and Drew Gulak. They ran to the ring as if they were going to chase Bad Bunny for the belt. Now, if that was R-Truth would have jumped out of Dodge, ran out of the ring. Instead, Damian Priest takes care of Carrillo, takes care of Tozawa, and Bad Bunny throws Drew Gulak out of the ring. What I didn't like about it is Drew Gulak is laying on the mat, selling it like he just got butchered to death. You know, and Bad Bunny, they're doing that extended pose in the ring with him and Damian Priest. And I'm saying, like, you know, these guys ran down the ring, and especially Drew Gulak, they kept putting the camera on. I'm like, man, I just thought that was a little bit hokey.
They're trying to do something with that 24/7 title. But let me throw this in there, too, because it's not really mentioned. Yeah. But Damian Priest reversing Garza's punch with an elbow was probably one of the most unique spots I've ever seen. He used his forearm and his elbow in order to stop a punch. I was like, God damn, that's pretty unique. Yeah. I don't know if that was planned or if it was a botch, but it was kind of cool.
It would look cool.
Throwing that out there.
Yeah, it did look cool. So I'm telling you, man, Damian Priest, now you could see why he was main roster bound from day one. He's got the look. He's got the voice, the deep voice. He's talented. He does a lot of shit off the top rope. Very impressive. And the guy's smooth. He's smooth. And it doesn't hurt to have this big of an international star with you.
So what do you think, you know, speaking of debuts and main roster bound, Rhea Ripley, they threw up the graphic tonight, made it more than official that Rhea is, I want to say just WWE main roster bound, but maybe Raw bound.
Yeah, she is coming to Raw.
Yeah, which would immediately place into contention Rhea versus Charlotte. I'm sure a lot of people think that, but what are your thoughts on Rhea coming up to the main roster?
I want to see, and I brought this up yesterday. I brought it up last week. I brought it up 2 weeks ago. I want to see Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte versus Asuka at WrestleMania. I know a lot of you are sick of Charlotte and everything like that. I disagree, respectfully. I think having the three-way just adds name value to it. I could see Charlotte having a confrontation with Asuka, and then Rhea Ripley's music hits, and Rhea Ripley wants that rematch with Charlotte, but Asuka's in the picture as well. I want to see that three-way at WrestleMania. I'll be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, and you can actually build something between Rhea and Asuka, too. You can really make this three-way completely around, as opposed to just being thrown together. There's a reason all three of these girls should be kicking the shit out of each other. So if that's going to be the build to Mania, I think it's going to be a great match.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, there's no denying Charlotte is at the top of her game. Whether she sells for people or WWE hands her golds and this and that, you know, she backs it up in the ring. She backs it up on the mic. She backs it up with her presence. I can't criticize her for that. This is sports entertainment. That's what you're supposed to do. Asuka is in a league of her own as well. And then Rhea Ripley, and a lot of you remember that I said this 2 or 3 months ago, that Rhea Ripley, before she left NXT, I was getting the same vibes that I got from Charlotte right before she left NXT and came to the main roster. I said it 2 or 3 months ago, a couple of weeks in a row. Rhea's given me, I got that same feeling about Rhea Ripley that I did about Charlotte when she was still in NXT. The only thing I didn't like about Charlotte was when she came up, that intro with the disco ball and the lights. It looked like Charlotte was in a strip club. Remember that intro? And she's just like, and you know, and that's, I don't know who came up with that. But Rhea Ripley, in 2 or 3 years, I don't want to say is going to surpass Charlotte, but I think she's going to be close to the level of what Charlotte was Charlotte's first 2 years in the main roster.
The thing that Rhea has that's going to make her successful, I don't know if I want to put her past Charlotte, but I can see where you're going with this. I would say that she's going to fill the niche that Becky Lynch left behind. The badass underdog, the foreign lass, the foreign lady, you know, coming in, bringing a bit of over the border with her, and bringing a strong brawling type wrestling into the women's division. I think Rhea ultimately will be a better Becky Lynch than Becky Lynch.
And that would be interesting because the man was on top of the wrestling world.
She was.
I mean, it's insane to look back on it.
Ball at the end there. Let's be fair. Let's not lie to ourselves. Towards the end of Becky Lynch's run, when she was within WWE, it was a little like on the nose, you know, a little cheese ball. But I think Rhea can keep it legitimate, or at least look legitimate. I don't think Rhea will cheese it up so much, you know.
You know, can I just share a random tidbit that blew me away today? You all will, I think, find this amazing. Remember that moment on Raw when the Wyatt family and the Shield had that confrontation, and before they even brawled, the crowd was chanting, "Holy shit, holy shit." Remember that?
Right. Yeah.
Do you know that this past weekend, or it might have been late last week, how many years ago that was? 7.
Shoot. Wow, that long.
7.
Oh, yeah.
7 freaking years ago that happened. Like when I was looking at the clips from last week and looking at the history stuff, and I'm like, are you kidding me? 7 years already.
Well, how long has it been since Punk has been in WWE? You know, I mean, if you really want to think about it. Yeah. Unbelievable,
man. So Rhea Ripley, we're definitely looking forward to. I think possibly at Fastlane or immediately after Fastlane, and she'll be on the fast track for WrestleMania. Fast track.
Yeah, nobody. I mean, I don't know what the chat thinks, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people would like to see Rhea before WrestleMania. Clearly.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Now the tag match, we talked about it earlier. The one thing tonight that I kind of liked also was no hole jokes with Nia.
Oh yes.
They okay. We moved on from that. None of that tonight,
funny.
Which was good.
Samoa Joe is a funny guy. Can't we just let him throw out jokes about Nia's?
She's got a whole new arsenal.
Yeah. She's got a whole new perspective on life now.
Yeah. Yep. That's
I'm okay
good.
with it. I know it's campy blue collar humor.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of it was tongue in cheek too, where it was double entendres, which makes it even better because you can just feign ignorance the whole time. Oh, I don't know what you were. Oh, I was saying that. Oh, I'm sorry, Vince. You know, like,
yeah.
I'm just saying it was smart. It was funny, and you're right. Joke's over. Let's move on.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I will say, good guy Nia Jax. There was a patient or there was a little girl basically who's also a cancer patient, lost all her hair, and was asking Nia, or was asking her mom where she can get a wig that looks like Nia's hair. And so Nia, I guess, was helping out and finding a wig for her and stuff like that. So as much as everybody wants to beat up on Nia, myself included, I thought that was really cool that she's helping out cancer patients or a little girl like that. So good for her.
Good for her. Good for Nia. Seriously.
Yeah.
Good for Nia. I've expressed my fandomhood for Nia. I mean, I'm not happy about some of the injuries, but I like her. Yeah. I like her. There's something about her I like.
I'm not a huge fan of hers, but good for her for using her clout to help kids, you know?
Yeah. Sheamus beating Jeff Hardy. We talked about it before. Competitive match, but I don't think there was any doubt. Even on social media, the way WWE talked about it afterwards, Sheamus taking his anger on losing yesterday out on Jeff Hardy. You know, I don't know where they go here with Jeff Hardy. Elias is back into catering, if everybody noticed. The match was what it was. The problem is Sheamus suddenly is out of this equation with Drew McIntyre. I mean, obviously they kept Drew off, and we'll get to the main event in a second. First, Naomi and Lana over Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. This match was like 90 seconds. It was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. We're supposed to remember that Lana and Naomi have a tag title shot in the future. I don't know. To me, I wasn't feeling it. I know Lana's having fun, but I don't think she'd be, and we're huge supporters of Lana. Everybody knows that, but I think sometimes you got to be a little bit more serious in the ring with the look on your face, even when you're creating offense. She sells pain beautifully, but when she's hitting moves, she's got this big smile on her face like, did I do that? It's almost like a bad Urkel. Oh, did I do that?
I think that's the gimmick, though. I mean, her gimmick, as weird as it sounds for a girl that's been in WWE now for at least 5 years herself, I think her gimmick is being a rookie, is being someone that is not completely set with their skills.
Underdog.
That is not a fighter. So when she does silly little things like, oh my, did I do that? The Urkel thing. I think that's more of her developing her. I think that's more acting. I think she has talent when it comes to charisma and personality, but she's not a talented in-ring performer. She's a great seller. You know who she reminds me of in the ring? Candice Michelle. And I'll say it like this. Candice Michelle went into WWE as the GoDaddy girl. She was also, a woman who did Playboy and stuff like that, Playboy television. She was a fetish model. And when she stepped into WWE and she started getting in the ring, I think it was Victoria that broke her nose on a couple occasions because of reasons. And I don't know if those reasons were ever clarified, but it was believed that, Victoria was kind of putting her in her place. And the interesting thing about Candice Michelle was, instead of doing what most people would expect a model, a Playboy model, a GoDaddy model to do, which would be run away and leave like a lot of the Diva Search girls, Candice Michelle stuck it out twice. She got her ass kicked for real twice, and she still came back. And I get shades of that with Lana. Lana seems to me, even though she's been persecuted on social media, even though she's gotten the shit kicked out of her in the ring, she seems like she's someone that's going to keep coming back. Maybe not because she's the best at it or she's looking at a long-term career, but she's just stubborn enough and she cares just enough to keep coming back for more.
Gotta admire that.
Yeah.
Gotta admire that. So, main event time.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley. How this came about, Raw opened up with MIZ. How you like me now?
Yes.
Expected. As we all talked about last night, Bobby Lashley was going to come out to collect. And, you know, part of this back and forth was a little bit corny, you know, like, look, I'm not ready, and I'm a lot of studying, and look, you're going to piss off the Almighty. Well, you got to give me an answer in an hour. Yeah. So they're teasing for the first hour. What is Miz's decision going to be? And I was a little off by Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce supporting every decision that whatever Miz makes, which I thought was awful. In storyline, he is authority. Him saying, look, if you don't want to take on Lashley, I respect whatever decision you make, but you got to make a decision. And it made Adam Pearce look like a goof. And when they hit the ring and Adam Pearce, you know, he's in the ring with them and he shakes Lashley and MVP's hand, and then he brings out the Miz, and Lashley's dressed to wrestle. Miz is still in a suit. And basically whatever Miz said goes as far as Adam Pearce goes. And I thought that was horrible. And Miz is basically trying to get out of having a match with Lashley. Then Braun's music hits. And you and I had this conversation last week. Yeah. He made threats last week that ended up being empty. He showed up. He should have showed up on SmackDown, didn't. Should have showed up at Elimination Chamber, didn't. He shows up today. He demands a match also. Enter Shane McMahon.
Right.
And that's why I think it's going to be Shane McMahon versus Braun at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I could see that. I could absolutely see that.
Shane being out there makes zero sense if you think about it. And Shane basically acting like he's screwing Braun, like, no, you know, like, you don't automatically get a title shot, even if you were Universal Champion. And Braun, this sucks, you suck, this sucks. And then he wants to have a match with Lashley. And Adam Pearce and Shane McMahon like, oh, I didn't think about that. So that's the main event today. And Shane McMahon tells Braun, if you beat Lashley tonight, then next week it'll be a three-way for Miz's championship.
Right.
If you don't win, then next week it's Lashley versus Miz for the championship. And it was funny because they had the camera on Miz when Shane was announcing that next week, and Miz just had that look on his face like,
right.
Like, what did I just hear? Yeah, so that's how they set it up. But in the end, I thought maybe Drew comes out there, causes Lashley to win, which makes it a three-way next week. But since they're not going in that direction and Braun lost his shot, now Braun's going to be flipping over trucks again. He's going to flip over shit that belongs to Shane. He's going to do feats of strength because he's going to have a hissy fit that he's got no title shot now because he lost.
Nailed it.
Doesn't that feel like where it's going?
You nailed it. Hissy fit. See, the problem is that they're trying to recapture the genie in the bottle. Braun Strowman as the killer back when he was hunting down like Roman and everybody else like that is not the same Braun Strowman that we see today. Braun Strowman today doing this sucks, I'm going to kill you. And it doesn't come off well. It comes off as entitled. Braun Strowman comes off as an entitled asshole. He doesn't come off as a monster. He doesn't come off as a brute. There's a real disconnect from Braun and the audience and the storyline even now. I totally get what you're saying with the Shane McMahon, Braun Strowman possibility for the future. I can see that. The one thing I do want to say about Adam Pearce, though, is a lot of people are making comparisons of Adam Pearce to other GMs in the company. The problem is Adam Pearce doesn't even feel like an actual GM. He feels like an interim manager. He feels like middle fucking management. Like he has no control at all. Like anything that goes through Adam Pearce, he actually just calls somebody up and asks them. Like there is no actual weight behind Adam Pearce. But as far as Braun Strowman goes, they need to figure out a better way. I was very surprised when he lost tonight to
clean.
He lost. Yeah.
Pretty clean. Sorry. Lashley picked him up and kind of like tossed him around also.
Yeah. Jesus.
You know? Sorry. But look, the match was fun. Wasn't long enough, but in the end, Lashley pins Braun.
Right.
And then afterwards, Lashley has his way with Braun a little bit more. Then Miz tries to nail Lashley with the title, misses, and Lashley lays out Miz. And we go off the air with Lashley on top of everybody. And yeah, good.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, Miz did a fantastic job, too. Really talking about his promo earlier. Kind of gloss over it, though. The idea, I mean, look, Bobby Lashley's not a great promo. Tonight was a good example of why you don't let Bobby Lashley talk too much. Let Bobby Lashley be the savage guy. Let MVP do the talking. MVP is a talented talker, and he does a great job of being Bobby Lashley's handler because Bobby Lashley can be a psychotic. On the flip side, though, fucking hilarious with Miz and Morrison acting like they needed time from the mob. Like Lashley was going to take out his fucking kneecaps or something. I was dying laughing. I just need more time. I just need more time, Two-Finger or Two-Tone Larry. You know,
hey, give me a couple more days. Give me a week. Right. Yeah, a week.
Right, just give me a call. I'll have the money. I promise. You know, it was. You know, it's stuff like that slides under the radar for a lot of people. But Miz hamming it up, Randy Orton hamming it up, even Bliss. You know, Charlotte. There was some good meat around all the matches tonight. It was not a bad Raw.
Yeah, I really can't say much negative about tonight's Raw. Like I said earlier, 9 matches. You know, some of them were awfully quick, but, you know, this did not feel like a very limited roster that you had to use people 2 and 3 matches, which we've seen recently. They had a real diverse, you know, group of people out there. We had all different types of matches. You had a little bit of everything. I mean, you've had, you know, some great pro wrestling. You had some, you know, behemoths going at it, women's wrestling, some good promo work, and some storylines. You know, some of the storylines are obviously trickling right now, but, you know, once Fiend makes his return, there's where it gets full-blown to Mania. And like I said, we'll see the progression of Braun and Shane. We'll see Drew McIntyre is all but a lock to show up next week and this time cause Lashley the win. The only thing is, where does this lead to Fastlane? Do we get Miz, Lashley, and Drew at Fastlane? Do we get Drew versus Miz at Fastlane? What happens to Lashley between Fastlane and WrestleMania? So there's a lot.
Look, I know you haven't talked about Fastlane, and I don't know if you made the correlation already, but Fastlane is also NBC's Peacock's very first pay-per-view.
Not exclusively, though. Not exclusive.
It's not going to be exclusive, but it's going to be their first. It's going to be the pay-per-view that Peacock and WWE use in order to get people over to Peacock and try out Peacock and everything else like that. But what I'm saying is, not only is it the last pay-per-view before Mania, it's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
Look, people pass on Fastlane. A lot of people pass on Elimination Chamber last night. Fastlane is going to be nuts for a lot of reasons. I would not be surprised to see a lot of angles, a lot of people returning, a lot of swerves, a lot of damage in the ring. It's going to be fucking nuts because they're going to try and impress the people that just paid them $1 billion. So it's going to be decent.
That's a good point. Yeah. WrestleMania will be Peacock's. It'll be the first one where it's exclusive for Peacock. Right. Fastlane will be available on the WWE Network and on Peacock. Now, the fact that it's available on WWE Network, it was going to be available on WWE Network overseas, period. Right. So the fact that they're saying that it's going to be on both tells me that the first 30-day period is going to be the period where people can start branching over to Peacock. It's not going to be like you're going to go on the network one day in the United States, try to log on. What's going on here? I think you're going to see probably like a disclaimer,
like a redirect or something.
Yeah, that, you know, that effective such and such date, and there'll be like a break-in period that you can transition over. So, but fun Raw tonight. By the way, want to give a special shout out to Sam. Sam is celebrating his birthday as of midnight, And Phil Maffey likes how they're portraying Adam Pearce. I tell you, I see where Philip's going with this. It's not your quintessential GM. It's not your typical GM role.
Right.
This feels like somebody in management, not necessarily has a label to himself, but he has some authority, but in the end, a McMahon could show up and overrule him.
Right.
That's what it kind of feels like. So, but I like Adam Pearce. I have not much, but
like, look, let me make the comparison, because this might actually, maybe Phil doesn't like this comparison. He is the Michael Cole to the anonymous GM. That is what Adam Pearce is.
Okay.
He is the Michael Cole to a laptop computer. That's what he is.
Okay.
That's what Adam Pearce feels like.
All right. I think he does well in his role. Like I said, tonight it was a little weird. Him going along with whatever Miz wanted to do was kind of odd, because now you know that when Fastlane comes around, the matches are going to be made whether Miz likes it or not. But, maybe they should have pursued that storyline a little bit more, where Miz gets a little bit special favoritism from Adam Pearce, because it was Adam Pearce who gave Miz the briefcase back.
Right.
So, but Drew will definitely get involved in that main event next week, without a doubt. Drew McIntyre will get involved. And then we got to see where it goes from here. So, and with that, any last words before we call it a night?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think nice, tight show, focused on Raw, little tidbit here and there. Had a lot of fun. And for everyone out there, don't forget, Breakfast Soup VIP will be on Patreon tomorrow. Jay Carlos with the drive-by right before we exit. Jay Carlos, my friend, has a question. What is going to happen if he has a current... Glad that you asked this. What's going to happen if he's got a current WWE Network subscription? Does he have to buy it again for Peacock? Okay. I myself sent an email to Media Relations this morning, and I told them that I have a bunch of the $60 WWE Network cards, and I want to know, what do I do with these? I haven't gotten a response yet. I will get a response. Once in a while when I contact them for specific info, I get a response. But from what I understand is, as of a certain date, people in the United States are no longer going to have access to the WWE Network. Your rechargeable subscription will expire. It will not be renewed. From what I was told from two people already, and honestly, I haven't brought this publicly yet because I want to hear it from WWE's mouth directly. But from what I was told, if you bought, let's say, a 1-year subscription to the WWE Network, and let's say you still had 8 months left in the subscription, that WWE will credit back your card that 8 months.
Really?
And I'll use Patreon, for example. I'll give it, and I'm just using this example. Don't read anything into this. But since some of you out there are on Patreon, not too long ago, gave people an option to sign up for a year to get a little discount. Now, if for any reason, within your 12 months of subscription, Patreon shuts down, something happens, you want to cancel early, you get refunded back what is unearned. For me, like in insurance terms, if you have a 1-year insurance policy with me and you cancel after 6 months, you get 6 months unearned premium back. You get a refund for the unearned time that is due back to you. That is what I was told as far as paid subscriptions. It does not transfer over to Peacock because Peacock is owned by NBC. Peacock is not owned by WWE. Peacock is a streaming service that WWE is a part of. Peacock, you don't have to pay. You know, you could get $4.99 for the WWE. You get $9.99 without ads, $4.99 with ads. Or you could just say, look, I don't want WWE anymore, period. So all these people telling you that your WWE subscription is going to transfer over to Peacock. Number one, you would have to sign disclaimers giving WWE permission to transfer your credit card information over to Peacock. Your agreement for the network is between you and World Wrestling Entertainment Incorporated, not Peacock. And I'm sorry for hijacking this, Mish. I'm just talking more as in business right now and not a podcaster. So all these people that are telling you that, that's ridiculous, because they can't just give your information to another outlet simply because they did a deal with them. So what's going to happen is you're going to have to resubscribe. Plus, like I said earlier, WWE cannot guess what you want to do. You pay $9.99 right now. Maybe you want to pay $4.99 and get some commercials. So they're not going to just immediately subscribe you to something similar now simply because it's the same price. So that is what I could tell you right now. And when I get more information, I'll let you know. And SRH John, spot on as well. Mish is the one that introduced me to this. You get one of those VPN blockers and they don't know where you're watching from, you could get the network still outside of the country. It's like you told me about Fight Network with AEW pay-per-views and stuff like that. Get a VPN thing, and they can't tell that you live inside the United States, and you can buy it outside the United States. It blocks your VPN, and then you could get it for the cheaper price. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it should work for you. It should work. I don't see why not. In fact, yeah, in fact, you know what? You could sign up for Peacock right now, some of you, if you decide to. I mean, they pushed Punky Brewster today. They're going to be they even with Young Rock. My God, they showed replays of Young Rock today. So they're going to push Peacock. In fact, it might even end up being more annoying than the $9.99 stuff they used to do. But anyway, with that said, we are outie for tonight. Mish, pleasure as always. I will catch you tomorrow night for some breakfast soup on Patreon, and we'll have a good show.
Oh, we're doing the show tomorrow?
Yeah, we're good to go. You know, I'm going to send questions out to the VIPers so we have some content to talk about. You know, we're not going to, unless Live wants us to talk about it, we're not going to repeat Elimination Chamber again. So I know it's going to be an off-the-cuff episode, but I'll definitely send DMs to the VIPers and associate producers, whatever questions they have for the show. So, yeah, we'll be good to go tomorrow.
All right. Happy birthday to Sam, by the way.
Yeah.
Love, dude.
Sam, much love. Mish, much love. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you, everybody.
Okay.
Peace.
All right, everybody. 90 minutes. All right. A little bit longer than original, but definitely less than last week. And like I said, from going forward, Mondays are going to be primarily just a Raw recap. Some big news tidbits that definitely should be mentioned. We will always mention it as well. But we're going to really focus on Raw going forward, especially since we're on the road to WrestleMania now. That will be the focus on Mondays. And remember, you know, we do a show on Tuesdays. Wednesday is AEW, NXT, and any other indie promotion that we need to bring up. Friday is a little bit of everything. Thursday is a little bit of everything. So we got plenty of days during the week to get into various topics. But before I go, as always, if you enjoyed the show, smash that like button. That tells YouTube that you enjoyed the show and you recommend it to others. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. This way you're notified whenever we put some posts up in episodes. And that's it. Much love to you all. And I'll see some of you tomorrow night on Patreon or Wednesday night after NXT and AEW. And we'll cover both shows. Wednesday, we'll talk about the second round of the Women's Eliminator Tournament for AEW. And we'll have a fun show. Everyone, have a great night. Much love. And I'll talk to you soon. Ciao, everybody.